How often today did you feel like you were truly, actually focused?
Mm.
You know, that deep focus where, like, the world just fades out. No pings, no email alerts, no
hmm
little voice telling you to just check your phone real quick.
Yeah, it feels increasingly rare, doesn't it? Almost like a luxury item in today's world.
It really does. Everything's always on. We're pulled everywhere. Inboxes are a nightmare. Attention just feels shattered.
That's pretty much the core struggle of, well, modern knowledge work, I think. This constant digital noise makes real concentration feel almost impossible sometimes.
I totally get that. And that feeling, that struggle, is exactly what we're diving into today. We're looking at deep work.
Right, the concept from Cal Newport's book. Yes.
Exactly. He makes this pretty bold claim that this ability, this deep work, focusing without distraction on something mentally tough, isn't just handy. It's actually a kind of superpower now.
Yeah, a superpower in a world that's frankly designed for distraction. And his point, which I find really interesting, isn't just about, getting more done.
Ugh. What's the bigger picture then?
Well, he argues that in our economy, with so much information and automation creeping in, the skills that become really valuable are things like complex problem solving, creating original ideas, learning difficult things quickly.
Things that require that deep focus.
Precisely. That focused effort, that's the key, he says, to producing stuff that's actually high quality, that stands out. It's how you achieve real success, not just busyness. It's about doing better work, fundamentally.
Okay. So our mission for this deep dive then is basically to unpack Newport's ideas.
Yeah, pull out the core insights.
Right. Understand what deep work really is, how it's different from, all the other stuff we do all day, and why it's apparently so critical.
And we want to give you, the listener, a kind of shortcut to getting your head around this. Maybe some surprising bits, some practical takeaways you can actually use.
Sounds good. Let's get into it. So you mentioned deep work versus other stuff. Newport has a name for that other stuff, doesn't he?
He does. He draws a really sharp contrast between deep work and shallow work. Okay.
Deep work is that intense, focused state we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
It's where you create real value, push your abilities, think writing complex code, drafting a strategic plan, really digging into research, designing something intricate,
The hard cognitive lifting.
Exactly. And then there's shadow work.
The opposite, I'm guessing?
Pretty much. It's the logistical stuff, the non-cognitively demanding tasks. Often feels like you're busy, but there's low value created.
Like endlessly managing email.
That's a classic example. Or, constant status meetings that could have been an email, mindlessly scrolling through feeds, basic admin tasks. It fills the time, but doesn't really advance the big goals.
Right. Makes you feel busy, but maybe not productive in a meaningful way.
And Newport's core point, which is kind of stark, is that most people are essentially drowning in this shallow work.
Ouch.
Yeah. But the people who really thrive, the ones who produce exceptional results, they figure out how to consistently carve out time for deep work. They live there as much as possible. Okay, but hang on. That raises a question for me. Like, a lot of jobs require collaboration, answering emails quickly, being available. How does that fit? You can't just ignore everyone, can you?
That's a really fair point, and it's something Newport addresses. He's not suggesting you become a hermit, necessarily. It's about managing the balance and the boundaries.
So how do you do that? How do you actually start making space for deep work, especially if your day feels like constant shallow demands? Does he give, actual steps?
Oh, absolutely. He's very practical about it. He lays out 4 specific rules for cultivating deep work.
4 rules. Okay. What's rule number 1?
Rule 1 is work deeply, which sounds obvious, but what he means is you need to build rituals and routines around it.
Rituals. Like what?
Like deciding when and where you'll do your deep work, for how long you'll focus, what you need to support that focus. Maybe it's closing tabs, turning off notifications, having coffee ready, and even how you'll stop the session. It's about making it structured, almost automatic, reducing the willpower needed each time. So you're designing the process to make focus easier, like setting up your environment.
Exactly. Removing the friction.
Yeah.
Then rule number 2. This one's interesting. Embrace boredom.
Embrace boredom. That sounds counterintuitive. We spend so much time trying not to be bored.
Right. But his argument is that our brains have been trained by constant stimulation phones, notifications, always having something to glance at. We've lost the ability to just be without input.
Okay.
And if you can't tolerate boredom, even for a few minutes, your brain will constantly seek distraction. So when you actually need to focus deeply, you can't, because that muscle is weak.
Wow. So allowing yourself to be bored, like standing in line without checking your phone, That actually strengthens your focus
That's
muscle.
the idea. He suggests things like productive meditation, focusing on a single professional problem while doing something physical like walking, no distractions allowed. It's about training your attention span. Huh. Okay, I can see that. It's
Yeah.
like mental resistance training.
Yeah.
So rules 1 and 2 are about structuring work and training attention. What's rule 3?
Rule 3 is pretty direct. Quit social media.
Whoa. Just quit. Cold turkey.
Well, or at least be extremely intentional and ruthless about how you use it. He uses this analogy, saying social media is to your attention what junk food is to your health.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
It just sort of eats away at your ability to concentrate.
Precisely. These platforms are engineered to grab and hold your attention, fragmenting it constantly, which is the exact opposite of deep work.
Oh, okay, makes sense. So structure your work, train your attention, be wary of attention traps like social media. What's the 4th rule?
Rule 4 is drain the shallows.
Drain the shallows, meaning get rid of shallow work.
Minimize it aggressively. Be conscious of how much time it's taking. Newport actually advocates for things like scheduling every single minute of your workday.
Every minute. Seriously, that sounds a test.
It is, but the idea is to be intentional. If a task isn't scheduled, you question whether it needs doing. It forces you to evaluate the value of shallow tasks and consciously allocate time for them rather than letting them randomly interrupt your day.
So it's about taking control back from the reactive stuff, the emails and pings,
Yeah.
not necessarily eliminating all shallow work because some might be needed.
Exactly. Some is unavoidable. But you manage it, you batch it, you put strict boundaries around it so it doesn't constantly bleed into your potential deep work time.
Okay, that framework, the 4 rules, seems quite actionable.
Yeah, and another key thing he emphasizes, which I think is really important, deep work isn't just like a good habit. He frames it as a skill,
A skill. How so?
like training a muscle. The more you deliberately practice focusing, resisting distractions, entering that deep state, the better you get at it. Your capacity for concentration literally grows.
That's actually quite empowering, isn't it? It means it's learnable, trainable, not just something you're either good at or not.
Totally. Anyone can get better at it with practice. And the payoff, according to Newport, isn't just, ticking more boxes or being more productive in a narrow sense.
What's the bigger payoff then?
It's about meaning, fulfillment. He argues that dedicating yourself to mastering hard things, creating valuable things through deep focus, that's intrinsically rewarding. It makes work, and maybe even life, feel more purposeful.
That deep satisfaction you get from really creating or solving something tough.
Yeah, exactly. That sense of craft and accomplishment.
So if we were to boil down the key takeaways from this deep dive, what would they be?
I think, number 1, recognize that the way many of us work, constantly multitasking and reacting, is actually undermining our effectiveness. It feels busy, but it's often counterproductive.
Right. Multitasking is sort of a myth, neurologically speaking. We're just switching tasks rapidly, which has a cost.
A huge cognitive cost. Second takeaway, focus. That deep, sustained attention is becoming incredibly valuable. Newport calls it the new money in the knowledge economy.
The new currency.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And third, the path forward involves consciously designing your work habits, minimizing the shallow stuff, being intentional about distractions, and actively scheduling and protecting time for deep, focused effort.
Okay. So ultimately, mastering deep work, it's presented as more than just a work strategy.
Yeah, the source really elevates it. It's framed almost as a key to mastering your professional life, achieving significant success, and finding genuine happiness and fulfillment in what you do. It's a big claim, but a compelling one.
It really is. And that brings us back to you, listening right now. Maybe take a moment to reflect on this distinction we've been talking about.
Yeah, think about deep work, that intense focus, producing real value. For you, maybe that's writing or coding, designing something, studying hard, strategic thinking, creating.
Versus shallow work, the busy stuff. Low cognitive load, low value add. Emails, endless meetings, admin, scrolling. Just ask yourself honestly, how does your typical day break down between those two? Where does your time and energy actually go? Are you carving out space for the deep stuff, or are the shallows kind of taking over? Because here's the final thought to maybe leave you with. If Newport's right, if multitasking is hindering us, and deep focus is the crucial skill, the new money, what's the potential long-term cost? Not just to our productivity today, but maybe to our creativity, our ability to innovate, even our sense of purpose down the line, if we just keep letting the shallow distractions dominate.
Yeah. What are we potentially missing out on by staying in the cognitive